It's not your fault. You just don't understand. You think that what you have now is the best it's ever been? Not even close. They've been lying to you your whole life, lulling you into a false sense of security. Why? It's easier that way, for them to sell you everything that they want you to think that you need. Back in my day, things were a little different. I'm one of the old people, one of the people from the last century. A way back time when phones were not smart, when TVs had big backs, bigger backs than the people. When people still knew how to touch grass. Beautiful stuff. But let me tell you something. What you have now is your media. The things you enjoy are not the best it's ever been. Hell, it's not even close. Let me explain something to you. So today you have shows like Paw Patrol, you have Sheriff Labrador, you have Team Onizumi, and many, many others. But back in my day, there were shows that had to test the waters. They had to be innovative. They had to use the bad CGI to bring points across. And we didn't realize that at the time that they were doing something groundbreaking. That was just par for the course. I'm going to introduce you to the real big three. The big three that carved a path out for itself, a blueprint that the shows now can follow. Literally, the unsung heroes that helped to form a generation's perspective on what superheroes could actually be. If you know this, I guess, boat vehicle thing, and you know its driver, you know that he's an underappreciated character from Paw Patrol. These characters that I'm going to introduce you to here in the shows that I'm going to talk about, they're underappreciated for their generation and time because they're not recognized in the true sense of how much they actually did. So if you know the character that rides this, anything that this character goes through daily, being picked last for missions and everything else, think of him as just a reminder of how much has gone on in the background. So the three shows we're going to be talking about today, the real big three here now. Follow me. Underdog, Bolt, and Cats and Dogs. Now, if you don't know these shows, it's okay. I was there. I'm going to give you some insight. You need to watch them after this video. Please like and subscribe also. Hit the bell icon and all of that. I don't know where they are right now, but hit those. So, Bolt, if you know what the Truman Show is, this cartoon, this animation, took the concept of the Truman Show and it layered it into a superhero, a super dog action series where the dog actually thinks that he's a super dog, but it's actually a regular dog that lives on the set of his own show, and his owner and everybody else is pretty much creating this scenario that this dog thinks it's real. And guess what? And as the show progresses, right, he thinks that he's losing his powers. I'm not going to spoil it too much. You need to watch it. You need to watch it, okay? And this is just the big three of the animal side. We have other shows like Mega Mind that carved out its own path, that needs to get its own video. I've already done videos on Happy Feet. I've done like 4 or 3 videos on Happy Feet already. And I could do like 6 more on that. But for now, we're on the pet side, all right? So, Bolt. He thinks that everything that he is going through, that he experiences on the set, is real. If you watch the Truman Show, it's much like that, but everything is turned up to 11. So the action scenes that you see unfolding, he thinks that his powers, his sonic bark, his heat vision is real. It's not. It's all special effects. And it's the director and the people in the background are trying to make him think that, or believe or keep up the illusion that the show and the premise is all real. Tell me that you see anything like that in today's world. Now, the show takes a twist or a turn when the producers or the people behind the show get told by the network that they need to improve or keep ratings stable, because if they drop any points, because the show is getting kind of stale, they have to invigorate the audience, because they're afraid they're going to be losing that teenage audience that's watching the show. They have to find something, and what they do is they end up kidnapping the owner, or the person who the dog considers their owner, and is also the person who is written into the show as the owner of the dog also. So they stage a kidnapping, and the dog, still believing that that's a real event that's occurring, decides to try and save his owner. And in trying to save his owner, he breaks out to the studio, goes outside, and starts to notice some things are going awry. He notices that he's not able to do the things that he used to do. He even got his head stuck in a fence, and pigeons made fun of him. Pigeons made fun of him. They said his melon was big. That's a big melon, they said. Big melon. Okay? And guess what he thinks is causing this? Something that he's noticed more and more as he goes outside. Something that's banned in today's world almost. Styrofoam. That's his weakness. I'm not going to spoil the show anymore. You need to watch it. It's amazing, okay? The other one, alright. I mentioned bad CGI. We lived through that. We didn't know any better. We thought it was cutting edge, and it was for the time. For back in the olden days, we took what we could get because it was people trying their best with whatever they had in their hands, and they did their very best every single time that they could, because not everybody had access to software, so when they could do something, they tried to do it as best they could. So let's talk about Underdog. Underdog had Kyle Massey sing its song. Okay, let's start there. An absolute banger. I've even seen it being stay on. I've even seen it trend on TikTok recently because it's such a banger. Underdog is here. Underdog is here. Yes, it's amazing, amazing. Okay. The premise of it is pretty much taking Spider-Man premise, bringing in all the bad catchphrases and all that. It's hilarious. It's pretty much, I think it's a wiener dog. Yeah, and he goes on these missions, and you know, I think even I'm not. Yeah, I'm not gonna even spoil it for you. You need to go and watch that one. It takes all of the bad and good elements that makes a superhero show superhero. It's a feel good show, and you will enjoy it because it takes all the tone that you need, and it doesn't feel forced or like they're trying to send a messaging down your throat. Does that sound familiar in today's media space? Not, it wasn't as prevalent back then. Not saying that they didn't do it, but they were more overt or smart about it. They led you down the path, not necessarily pushing you to draw that conclusion, but they gave you enough space that you could think, maybe consider a position. All right. The other one now, cats and dogs. Think cats and dogs was a bit different. It was pretty much James Bond mixed with pets. That's the best way I could describe it. I don't even want to spoil that one that much for you, but it's pretty much, how cats and dogs have been rivals, bitter rivals for the from the start of time. They took that premise and they dialed it up. They showed the background of it. They showed what the dogs and the how the dogs and the cats relate to each other. The dogs are actually spies and have their own organization, and the cats are actually this evil organization trying to take down the dogs and control humanity. It's an amazing show, and I'm telling you that these three, just like how you have Zuma, the driver of this, being shepherded off into the background, never to be seen, but it's there. It's still there, still there. Still there. These three are there in ways that you may not even have thought about. So you need to watch them. Once again, it's Underdog, Bolt, and what's the other one again? Oh yeah, Cats and Dogs. These are the giants that paved the way so that the ones that are here now have a much easier time finding their footing. So, as someone who has the gray hairs to show from the last century, listen to me clearly here. If you want good shows to watch, if you're someone who's from the 90s like I am, or even earlier in the last century, let these young'uns know how good we had it, and what they think they know. They don't know because they don't know. That's the video. Watch another one. Or, you know, let me know what you want to see me talk about next down below. Alright.